human, how would you start? Let's say with $1,000 or $3,000 or $5,000. How would you start your portfolio? Right? What would be your strategy? And as a dad of a 1 year old or 2 years old or 3 years old, how would you
Sure.
initiate?
So first of all, when it comes to portfolio, right? If you want to just get into the space,
Hmm.
there are many ways of doing it, whether it is on Sandbox, whether it's Axie Infinity, F1 Delta Time. I would basically first pick a community that is closest to you. Because when it comes to NFT and gaming, it is very much the community in the world that you're most comfortable with. If you like motorsports, go to Rev Racing, go to F1 Delta Time. If you are sort of looking to join the largest community that has the most liquidity, maybe join Axie Infinity, right? And they've got some great games there as well. If you are comfortable with the concepts on real estate and that's a world that you are familiar with, Sandbox, right? And building out those experiences. The space is young. My general view is that if you go with the mature players, it is difficult to not have some value. And if it's $1,000, at worst, you'll have a great education, but at best, you'll probably be able to make a return because I view the space as like, buying real estate wherever you are living today, 30 or 40 years ago, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
You look at the macro, there are 2.7 billion gamers. There's 4 to 5 billion people online. There's like 8 to 9 billion people in the world. And there's maybe 1.5 million people that have NFTs, right? The gap is huge, right? So unless you believe that NFTs is going to be simply limited to a max audience of 10 million people, which by the way, some people think it's a fad, right? So there is that, right? But if that's what you believe, then maybe you shouldn't invest at all. But if you do believe that digital property rights is important and that non-fungible tokens represent that, then really you are still at the earliest of stages and they can grow. I mean, if you look at, for instance, the legacy of things like CryptoPunks and now Bored Apes and, and sort of Genesis ones like sort of afterwards, like Meebits, these are ones, who built it? What's the background? I think of it almost like as sort of art from the Renaissance. Not everything is going to be a Mona Lisa, but if you're able to get some pieces of art, even from sort of obscure artists from that era, it will accrue value because it was such a pivotal time, right? So that's kind of where we are right now. That's obviously not going to be there forever, right? Because of the fact that the market matures. And so I think we're still at this stage. So the key is just to make sure that when you buy NFTs, you buy it with credible projects, with credible teams, because it's very hard for a new person to determine the credibility of a project in and of itself, right? The tools aren't there for a layman to know, is the metadata right? Is it on IPFS? All these things. So following the groups and organizations that have sort of best reputations or recommended reputations, who do they follow? Who are their signals, right? It's a study as well. I mean, it's like if you said, if I wanted to buy art, you don't just go, let's go buy the first thing that comes out from Sotheby's, right? You study it, right? I tell people about entering the NFT space, it's like buying a car.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
people don't just walk into a store and buy a car like candy, right? It's maybe some do, but most of us don't, right? We think about it. We what's the utility? Does it have value? Is there a resale mechanic? Is there, can I sell it to someone? What's the service support, right? Who's here to help me when the car has a problem? Can I easily change the tires, or do I have to wait 3 months, to be delivered from Italy, right? I mean, these are all things that you come into thinking when you research the purchase of a car. I think NFTs is exactly the same. You have to study it. It's maybe you don't need to make money from it, but it's still a conscious, purposeful decision, and that value process is more valuable than the $1,000 you put in. Meaning, in that time, how many people learn about the ins and outs of a good car before they
Mm.
buy the car, right?
Mm.
Suddenly they know about the engine. Suddenly they know about what's comfortable.
True.
Suddenly they know
True.
everything, and
True.
then they can make an informed decision. That's the
Mm.
path, and I recommend this for everyone. It's not even the money. Right?
Mm.
In terms of children, this is the future, right? And so in the time when we were very focused around sort of ed tech, I was one of the most focused sort of and we've co-founded some ed tech companies, and I'm on the board of a number of schools. Because that's still something that I feel passionate about. It's just so hard to make money there. But anyway, that's a different story altogether. I sometimes joke about the fact that I make money in one industry and I spend it all on edtech. I still do that, right? I still spend on education. I still fund companies because I think it's important. but I won't ask anyone to invest with me because it's such a tough area. But anyway, going back to this point, parents ask this question to me a lot because they're like, oh, I don't want my children to be playing games and whatever. And what I tell them is that the world in which they are in, this is their world. It's a space we don't understand. And there's an interesting study. I forget who cited it, but basically they were saying like 91% of all kids play games. Okay, that doesn't surprise us probably, right? For me, it's more surprise the 9% they're not playing games. What are they doing, right? But what's interesting is that juxtaposed against how many parents play games with their kids, it's like 10% or 8%. Yeah. But you replace games with another kind of game, which is sports, like basketball, right? And the number changes way high. It's like 70 or 80%. And even if I'm not able to play with you, I'll watch your basketball game. I'll watch your swimming. I'll watch your football game. So I have an understanding. I see what's happening. But with games, you're in a screen. I'm not there. I can't see it. And so it's alien to me. So the only thing I see as a parent is a person who's looking at a screen. And then here's the other thing. I tell them, parents say, oh, it's dinner time. But right at that moment in time, he's probably in the middle of a match. He's probably playing with 5 of his friends. And when, someone comes and turns off the computer because they're mad because they didn't come in for dinner, what happens is you let down your community. You let down your friends. And then you're supposed to sit on the dinner table and be happy and smile. And no, you're ill-tempered because because of the games. But actually, if he was playing a football game and he was in the middle of a match, maybe with 15 more minutes to go, nobody would say dinner time, right?
No,
right?
No,
to me, it's not a question of sort of the digital aspect. It's still a human aspect. It's just that we lack the generational understanding because we're not in their worlds. And I think the other thing is with technology, size and experience and traditional aged skill doesn't matter, because the fact that I am taller makes no difference in a video game, right? So as a young kid, I can be good at basketball, I can be good at football vis-a-vis my children, so we can have a relationship where you can still gain from that. But in video games, chances are most parents are going to be pretty bad at it, right? And in fact, it's the children who will lead them. And in my own experience, if parents are open to create peer relationships with their children, I think it's very empowering for children. Because of course, as parents, the relationship I have with my parents, or my mom in particular, is really one more around where it's more frankly hierarchical because of the way that we were raised, right? It's not one that I think we should have with our children today. It's not one I aspire to have, because we live longer, life is different, and so which means we have to be more open to our vulnerabilities. We have to be, we can't be best at everything. We can't know all the answers. In fact, we shouldn't, right? And we can't, right? And I think that's something that we're not as comfortable because of the way that we brought up. But with the virtual world, that all is the case anyway. They're going to be better at it if they're not already. So you need to be willing to be in their hands as opposed to them in yours.
Wow. Beautiful, man. Absolutely. Like, just fantastic. Thank you very much. And this is from a very personal perspective. I swear you have really like shined the light in a place that I just was, because I'm not a gamer, I never played. I never liked those things ever. My father bought the one thing that goes like this thing and the little ball, right? And I played like 3 times and never again, because I'm an action oriented person. So, but now you just put a completely different perspective ahead of me. Thank you very much. Machine, something else to wrap this conversation?
I mean, today's discussion was just full of virtue, and we can go on and on. Unfortunately, right, we do need to wrap up, but I'm thinking we can dedicate a video for like each of these different projects, like Rev, Sandbox, and just really dive in, because they're all very different and unique in their own ways. So yeah, we do invite you, Yat, to just really, go dive deeper into these projects.
Yeah, no, that would be a pleasure. So, and thank you. And I think one of the things that we would love to do is, as we educate the space, we do feel that we need to evangelize the space and we need to inform people about it. and that's, so maybe one of the steps could be going deep diving into maybe the mechanics or why it matters. There's a lot of stuff here that is beyond philosophical, of course, that has real purpose and meaning.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it would be fantastic if you or the CEOs of your different companies jump in, and like you say, evangelize, right? Like sometimes we feel like, oh, we know everything. Yeah, but like you said, we're like 10, right? Even me, like after so much exposure, I feel, oh, I know quite a lot already. But the next person has never heard of MetaMask or ETH or anything at all, right? So yeah, it would be fantastic if we could do that, man, because
absolutely,
we didn't have any time, and I'm the one to blame mostly because I was really like it's just so enjoyable to listen to you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else to wrap up, Mr. Machine? Anything else you want to say, Yat?
I think we'll cover more videos, but for everyone who's watching, there's so much to learn, so much to explore. So go to animocabrands.com. Follow the socials. Yeah, and then just be involved and really learn. It's really about learning and getting hands-on with NFTs.
Absolutely. And maybe I'll add one thing. If you do want to get your hands on an NFT to start, with Rev Racing, the first entry-level NFTs are all earned, meaning that you don't have to pay for any of them. In fact, we don't sell any NFTs for the first for these ones. So you can join events, you can do stuff. You simply earn the NFT by doing. And that's how we think the world should be anyway. And so we think we're sort of living by those principles with the launch of Rev Racing.
Well, man, I have it right now in front of me, and you can be sure that I'm going to do something about it, because you just put some. I'm so curious, right? So yeah, why not?
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Not to get an NFT now, Mr. Human.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you so much.
Now, it was a beauty, man. Like, we really appreciate your time and the wisdom and all the amazing stuff you have shared with us. And please just get us all your CEOs that must be really amazing people, so they talk each about the project, and people really get to understand these things, right? And maybe one day we do one only Rev, and like just take it bits, bit by bit, and people understand more. Thank you very much again. And thank you very much for everyone for watching this program. I hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did, and see you next time.
Yeah. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye, guys.
By the way, yeah.